doubt I need to convince anyone in this room of the inherent value of travel. I would bet that everybody here has more than a few stamps in their passport. But here is my challenge to you today. You already know the importance of meeting people from different cultures and different countries. You already know the joy of trying different cuisines, the thrill of crossing landscapes that were terraced into agricultural fields thousands of years ago or have never been touched by human hands. Today I challenge you, someday, go on a trip somewhere alone. Not alone with your friends and without anyone's adults. Not alone with your significant other. Alone. Parents, take your hands off your child's ears and give this idea a chance. My mom didn't like it either at first, and I have to admit that going both bungee jumping and skydiving on my first solo trip did not further endear her to the idea. I did make it home in one piece, much to the disappointment of my brother, who was planning on moving into my room. Travel with family and friends is a wonderful experience. Many of my favorite memories come from such trips. But a group is inherently slower and must deal with conflicting desires. What should we have for lunch? Which museum should we go to? Someone is hungry, someone is thirsty, someone thinks libraries are boring. Blasphemy. When it is just you, you get to do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it. Stand in the British Library staring at Jane Austen's reading glasses for an hour. Cancel your hike and sit in a field of wildflowers overlooking the sea instead. Spend an afternoon visiting all the filming sites from your favorite movie. Go skydiving, just don't tell your parents till after. Eat that second gelato. No one will know except apparently the credit card company, who texted me to say I'd been double charged. No credit card company, I just like gelato. Stop judging me. We can rarely indulge our impulses this purely in daily life. There are just too many obligations, even obligations of the most delightful kind. We have plans to meet a friend, or we feel that we should wash a dish or listen to a podcast or check social media. Friends and family and the inanities of the internet are just a click away. The freedom of a solo journey requires you to figure out exactly what it is that you want, uninfluenced by anyone else. As the American poet and abolitionist James Russell Lowe wrote almost 200 years ago, the nurse of full-grown souls is solitude. When you don't have anyone to talk to for a few days, or weeks, or months, you discover where your thoughts will wander when left to their own devices, finding parts of your mind previously unexplored. When you don't have to accommodate another's needs or wants, you plumb your own self more deeply. On a solo trip, there are only your wishes. So what do you wish for? Groups are further limiting in a completely different way. When you are with friends, you are the less likely to have the magical encounters that pepper my travel tales, because a group is simply less approachable. You are part of a unit that creates a barrier to interaction with others, not maliciously or deliberately, but inevitably. It is easier and more likely for people to check on you if you look lost alone than if you look lost as a unit. As proof, I offer this incomplete but representative list of humans walking up to me to offer their assistance unsolicited. The woman in Milan who whipped out her own bug spray when I was getting eaten alive by mosquitoes at the tram stop. The Egyptian army officer, magnificently uniformed and deeply concerned, who swept up to me at the Cairo airport and called my hotel shuttle for me. The British family who drove me to my hostel after I asked them for directions, and they realized I'd gotten off in completely the wrong town and went about 3 miles out of their way to drop me off. The entire country of Greece. I was in a little town at the foot of Mount Olympus, and I was getting on a bus to Athens, and the ticket agent realized I spoke no Greek and could not understand a word of what she was telling me. So she assigned me to another passenger. And when we got to my first stop, they shooed me off the bus, and they found another passenger and made them in charge of me. And this happened 5 times, and not a single hapless traveler who was suddenly assigned a very confused American to be responsible for did anything except smile and laugh and put me on the correct bus. I had no idea where I was, except somewhere in Greece, heading roughly south. But eventually I made it to Athens, and I just kept mispronouncing Evcharisto. Nothing has given me more faith in the fundamental goodness of humanity than the sheer number of times a complete stranger has proffered help. There is another side to being alone, of course. The tingle of concern when you think maybe you've missed your stop. The drop of your stomach when you realize you have definitely missed your stop and you haven't a clue how to correct it. Standing on a street corner with no idea which road leads to the famous building with the pretty artwork and which might lead to a neighborhood that you've been warned to avoid. These moments can be terrifying. When you are hopelessly lost or miss a train or lose a bag, it feels better to have a friend at your side to cry with or laugh with. But it can also be easier to let someone else take charge. The problem-solving friend or your mom or your teacher, someone else will solve it, so you don't have to. Even better, someone is there for you to blame. even subconsciously, because obviously this never would have happened if you were in charge. These difficult moments bring one of solo travel's great prizes. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to figure out which road to take, which train to catch, or how to find your bag. You have to muster the very little German or Thai or Italian that you know to ask the tiny little old lady if you're on the right train platform, who, even if she doesn't speak any English, will smile back at you and answer, or will find a young person and use her grandmotherly powers to make them answer. You have to deal with the Italian cab driver who insists that the hotel you definitely have a reservation at is closed, and you should go to this other hotel instead. It's very nice, and he knows them, and they're definitely giving him a cut of the profits. You have to politely drink tea in the traditional carving workshop, more properly called a tourist trap, that your Egyptian tour guide brought you to, and stare blandly around until they accept that you're not going to buy any overpriced trinkets. And once you do these things, you will know that you can. And you are a little bit more worldly and a little bit more independent than you were before. And this prepares you in no small way for the hurly-burly waiting at home. You will know that discomfort is inevitable and manageable, that you can, because you must, suffer the consequences or reap the benefits of your own choices in equal measure, that you can make the choices that will shape your life. People will help, often and generously, but what to study, where to live, who to be, are all ultimately in your hands. So, how to start? My first solo journey was perfectly reasonable. I moved to New Zealand for a semester abroad during college. My dad pointed out that I went as far away as possible before I started getting closer again, but at least the sheep spoke English. And now you see where I get my most excellent sense of humor. What is more reasonable starting point, perhaps, than the other side of the world for 6 months? Maybe don't go for too long. Try a week or a long weekend. That is long enough to have some fabulous experiences and visit some spectacular places without getting lonely. Maybe don't go too far. Test your wings with a destination that is a train ride or a short car ride away. That is enough space for independence and solitude, but close enough to still feel connected. Choose somewhere where you speak the language or at least read the alphabet. While unfamiliar languages and alphabets add an exciting level of challenge to later journeys, a familiar language facilitates your first trip. Maybe go back somewhere to do something that you missed the first time around, because your family and friends weren't up for it or because you simply ran out of time. Being in at least a mildly familiar city will remove some of those navigational obstacles without removing the thrill of new experiences. The world awaits you. You await you, somewhere out there. Go find yourself.